Hello, I'm Tonya Mosley. Welcome to King County at your service. If you vote by mail, you know how convenient it is to be able to study your ballot at home, then simply drop it in the mail. But you may not know how much work goes into making sure every single ballot is secure and accounted for. Well, let's take a look and a tour of the election process.
In Washington, we vote by mail. Did you know we're the nation's largest vote-by-mail jurisdiction, with nearly 1.2 million registered voters in King County? People from all over the world come here to see us in action, and you can too. Come visit us during business hours anytime an election is underway, and see how we process and track every single ballot. On the first floor is our Election Service Center. You can come here if you need to register to vote, update your signature, or return your ballot in person.
In Washington, if they are brand new to Washington, or maybe they've lived here for a number of years but they haven't registered to vote, they can actually come here in person to our office and register to vote. If somebody lost their ballot or never received it and they are a procrastinator and they've waited until closer to the election day, they can actually come down here and cast a ballot, since there's not time to mail them a new one.
Your self-guided tour starts after you check in and pick up a visitor's badge.
Welcome.
Elections headquarters features a 1/5 mile observation loop where you can track a ballot's journey from the time it's returned to elections until it's ready to be counted. Did you know it takes about a day and a half of work for an average ballot to complete this journey? In a presidential election, we process about 1 million ballots. First, ballot envelopes go through the sorting machine twice. The first time, the machine takes a picture of the signature on the envelope so that workers can review it.
It goes through the machine, we capture the signature. The signature then is transferred over to the signature verification group. They review the signature against the registration signature, and then it's accepted if it's a match, and then it's continued on its way to opening.
By law, we must check the signature on each ballot to see if it matches the signature in the voter's registration file. Signatures have to match for the ballot to be processed.
We do verify the signature on every single envelope that comes into our office to determine if it is the signature of the voter. The Washington State Patrol provides the training to elections administrators, and we do that training every year for our staff. About maybe 1%-ish of the voters who return their ballot have failed to sign. We have more education out to voters, more reminders out to voters, and so we are seeing definitely a decrease in the number of voters who are forgetting to sign.
Once the signatures are processed, the machine mills or slits the envelopes and sorts them into batches. Each machine can sort 24,000 envelopes an hour. Now, some ballots don't arrive in envelopes. They come by email or fax, often from a voter who is in the military or overseas. These ballots are called alternate format ballots. They require special handling and must go through the same verification process as standard ballots.
It's an easy and accessible way for voters to access their ballot from anywhere in the world at their own convenience. A lot of military people that move around a lot, overseas voters, you don't always have a mailing address. They just have to have a computer and internet access.
We're going to make sure that, when we actually get your ballot, the moment that we actually print it out through the email system, we're going to keep the voter secrecy, and we are going to process it in a way that's very similar to the vote by mail, and it will eventually get counted and sent to the tabulation equipment.
Here, staff further check signatures that were flagged during initial review.
If there's a problem with the signature, or if the voter failed to sign, which is very common, we have another set of folks who give it a second check, give it a little bit more in-depth review. And that way, if there is a problem with the signature, we can contact the voter. We contact them with a letter, a phone call, and we give them as many opportunities to correct the issue so we can count their ballot.
To ensure your privacy as a voter, ballot opening takes 3 steps.
So the first step is they take the outer envelope and they remove all the materials from inside of it. They set aside all the outer envelopes, and that protects the voter privacy of what they voted on their ballot. The next step is that they'll take the ballots out of the security envelopes and they'll unfold the ballots, and then they'll manually inspect the ballots to make sure that they can go through the scanning equipment. So they're looking for damaged ballots. If a voter may have used like red ink to fill out their ballot, which the scanners can't see, and those ballots are pulled out of the batch and they're sent over to the ballot review group for further work.
Remember, when you fill out your ballot, you need to use black ink to fill in the circles. If you use the wrong type of pen, make stray marks, or if the ballot is damaged, the scanners won't be able to read it properly. When this happens, teams of 2 make duplicates of these ballots to make sure the votes can be sent on to be counted.
So in Washington State, we are committed to counting every ballot exactly as the voter intended. Not every voter gives us a ballot that if we ran it through our machines would be counted exactly as intended. What ballot review does is we take those ballots that wouldn't scan correctly or wouldn't even go through the machine because they're torn up or whatnot, and we process them in such a way that they will ultimately go through the machine and the vote will be counted correctly. If it's a tricky issue, there's a lot of corrections. Like, well, I want yes, no, I want no, no, I want yes. And we can get some corrections on corrections on corrections. There's a lot of frivolous write-in votes where they obviously don't want Mickey Mouse to win, or maybe they do, but they know it's never going to happen, but they do it anyways. We have to deal with all those write-in votes. We get an awful lot of torn ballots or coffee stains with our every vote counts mantra. Every one of them has to be processed exactly correctly to make sure the votes count.
We scan ballots throughout the election, and the votes are secretly stored and waiting to be added up.
The scanners will actually take an image of the ballot, front and back, and it'll also record where the votes are located, but it actually is not tabulating them yet. It's just sort of recording them and holding them in place.
But we don't tabulate data and publish initial results until we legally can, after 8 p.m. on election night. We keep processing ballots until the election is certified, about 2 to 3 weeks after Election Day. Tabulation takes place on a computer in a room with very high security.
It's very secure. It's on a local network, so it can't be hacked into from the outside.
You have to have fingerprint access on a biometric reader, and there's only certain staff members that are actually authorized to enter that room.
This room is also monitored by security cameras and tamper-evident seals.
Well, you have a great day.
It's a lot of work, but elections play a critical role in our democracy, and we work hard to make sure your vote is private, secure, and completely accounted for. To find out more or to book a group tour, visit us online or call 206-296-1540.
If you watch cop shows, you know when the SWAT team is called in, it's serious business. So how do real-life SWAT team members stay ready for anything?
These practice drills could someday save these officers' lives.
Failure drill!
5 seconds with your primary hand.
And the lives of many others. This is King County's TAC 30 unit, the SWAT team.
We have to be able to put the shot on the target every time, because that may be your only chance to save that person.
A highly skilled team trained in the use of special weapons and tactics. They specialize in unusually dangerous situations.
Your cones are your shooting positions. You'll run to your cones, you'll shoot at your cones.
Fast-moving, dynamic events, sometimes you don't have time to think. It's all muscle memory. What have I done in the past to mitigate or to deal with this type of threat?
Incidents like the bunker built by North Bend resident Peter Keller. Keller held out in his makeshift bunker for 6 days after killing his wife and daughter. It was in terrain so steep, it took the team hours to hike in.
That tested the team, tested our capabilities and a lot of things that we do, and I have to say, we rose to the occasion. We did well.
Take your time. There's time to be had.
Still, the drills on the range are critical.
Shooters ready. Stand by.
And in more remote locations. Because despite their expertise, this is not a full-time job.
We are not a full-time SWAT team. I am the only full-time SWAT team member. All the other deputies have ancillary duties. Half of them are patrol officers, the other half are detectives.
Officers called in when the situation could overwhelm regular patrol.
In case we get some kind of injury that's going to cause a significant amount of bleeding.
And the training is not all about weapons.
Tourniquet placement. How high are we supposed to go? High as we can. High as we can. What if we have armor in the way? Look at Josh. Josh did it right. We're doing some push-ups.
Up. 15. Down. Up. 16.
Imagine putting on your own tourniquet.
Being able to apply your tourniquet on your own and save your own life is critical to the mission.
Care under fire. And strategic thinking under fire. They are trained to de-escalate situations.
If you come at me with a big stick and I use another big stick, then you just got 2 dummies with 2 sticks. Use some psychology, your mental acuity to figure out, how do I tactically get around this guy?
Then there is the equipment. These vests and armor weigh more than 60 pounds, plus munitions and armored vehicles.
Everything is tactical, and if we don't bring the tools and the toys with us, then they'd call some other SWAT team. So we have to have all the tools.
Team members must have at least 4 years on patrol before joining, but turnover is minimal.
We do not cycle through team members very often. We have 2 new team members on this team now. The last opening was probably about 4 years ago. So you make it on the team, you stay on the team pretty much.
They are a team that many in our region count on.
Showing up on time for work, collaborating with team members, and being proud of a job well done. Skills most kids have to learn as they grow into adulthood. Well, here's a story of some kids who've taken some wrong turns but are getting back on track thanks to hard work and beautiful art.
I think it has that unique ability, like if you're on Amtrak or Sounder coming down, to kind of like transport you into that sort of world. It's almost like a comic book, like coming alive.
Tucked away between downtown Auburn and the railroad tracks is a colorful transport into a whimsical world created by these guys.
I've done this for 5 years, and this is one of the best groups of youth I've worked with. They're just very dedicated, and they've been very conscientious of design and being careful and being really thoughtful in their actions.
They're a group of teenagers from different parts of the city, brought together by the court system. Somewhere along the way, they've all been in trouble. This project is one attempt at learning and moving past their mistakes.
When they go for an interview now at McDonald's or Fred Meyer or Safeway, they have some examples of what they've done. They have a professional reference. They have, I think, learned to count on themselves.
It makes me feel like one milestone out of my life is completed.
Nathan is one of 8 that completed the summer-long program, showing up on time and working a full day as a team.
This time I feel like I've gotten a second chance. Everything's just falling into place.
Mayor Pete Lewis says the purpose of this program is to not only provide a job.
They might not have ever seen anybody give back for any reason, certainly not voluntarily. So it's a big deal.
15-year-old Juan says seeing his name on the mural means more than words can say. He now understands the value of earning money.
Before I thought, in my perspective, I thought money grew on trees and I thought money wasn't a big deal, but now that I started working and I see how hard it is to get money, I see how my mom and other family members struggle with other money problems and stuff like that.
As for Nathan, the mural is a lot like life.
It's allowing me to show everybody that, it gets ugly, but, there is some beauty that lies beneath it.
He looks forward to showing the world what he's capable of. The program is a partnership between King County Superior Court, Urban Artworks, and the City of Auburn. Looking for a park that's pesticide-free? There are dozens of them to choose from in King County, and you can find them all online.
Parks and playfields in King County are not only popular, they're beautiful. But with growing concern over health hazards from products that keep lawns green and pests away, the county has launched a new website that pinpoints places to play that are chemical-free, or nearly so.
And what is wonderful about it is that it lists over 850 parks, trails, and gardens in King County that use few to no pesticides.
That's tens of thousands of acres and hundreds of miles of trails that can easily be found with a point and a click.
Well, the reason we created this map is because parents were asking that question, and their children were out playing, and they were wondering about how the landscape was managed.
Parents will be happy to know all 850 of the parks listed don't use any pesticides on lawns or children's play areas. The green squares are parks that are completely pesticide-free, and the orange squares mark those that have reduced their use.
It's very user-friendly. You can search by zip code, you can search by city name, you can search by park name, or click and drag. We made it as easy as possible for busy parents.
Check out the new online pesticidefreeplaces.org website. From King County, always at your service.
Good news for Eastside commuters. The new South Kirkland Park and Ride is open for business. The new Metro Transit facility has more than 750 new parking spaces, and it serves both Kirkland and Bellevue.
On the booming East Side, two things are in short supply: affordable housing and places for bus commuters to park. But that's beginning to change with projects like this new multi-use park and ride on the busy border between Bellevue and Kirkland.
We've got a parking garage, 560 stalls. We're going to have affordable housing in another year, right on the exit to 520. How good is that?
That's because connected to this new 3-story parking garage will be commercial development and affordable apartments opening next year so that more commuters can afford to live closer to where they work and won't have to drive to catch a bus.
It's getting increasingly important as we get more density, more population. We can't do just roads. We have to do transit. And transit is affordable. It gets you where you need to go efficiently, and it saves you dollars. I think we're learning to love transit here on the East Side.
But that doesn't come cheap. As mass transit faces cuts, King County needs an affordable source of funding to fuel the growing demand for mass transit. That makes this public-private project even more poignant. Federal and state grants help make the new South Kirkland Park and Ride a reality.
Funding is scarce. And when you're looking for dollars, if you aren't bringing partners to the table, and that means community partners, governments, and the private sector, nothing gets done.
And no surprise why.
If we can't get people to their jobs and to their needs, their social services, we lose our economic leveraging. As I said before, without the partnerships to leverage the dollars, we don't have the economic opportunities.
Learn more about the new South Kirkland Park and Ride online at the King County Metro website. King County, always at your service.
Thank you for joining us for King County at your service. If you'd like to find out more about any of the programs we've told you about today, visit us online at kingcounty.gov/KCTV. See you later.